Welcome back to this video. Listen to this positive quote. Success is where opportunity and preparation meet. So prepare well and should not miss all opportunities that you get. Okay, the third lesson is simple nutrients into cells. So based on your second chapter, we studied the process digestion completes in small intestine. Then the process digestion completes from the small intestine. How does this nutrients reaches to various parts of our body? It reaches to various parts of our body through blood. The blood carried by blood vessels, that also we studied. In the lower grade or in your smaller classes, you have studied there are various kinds of organ system or various life activities such as respiratory system, digestive system, excretory system and circulatory system, etc. So, circulatory system that consists of heart and blood vessels. So, here how do simple nutrients reach the cell through blood and lymph? Actually, from the small intestine with the help of the villus, these nutrients, the simpler nutrients, reaches to the blood and lymph that carries to different parts of our body, like that we have studied. Actually, this process is done with the help of circulatory system. The two important parts of the circulatory system are heart and blood vessels. So with the help of the circulatory system, it reaches to various parts of our body. So the topics to be covered in this session are components of blood and the structure of the heart. So the first one is, what are the components of blood? Then how do we know the components of blood? Yes, we can study what are the components which are present in the blood with the help of a simple experiment. Take one test tube. Into the test tube, we should add blood into this test tube. Then we all know when the blood contact with the atmospheric air, that coagulates or blood clots. In order to avoid this blood coagulation, we can add a chemical named EDTA. What is EDTA? That is ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. When we add this EDTA, the coagulation of blood doesn't take place. Then allow this experiment for some time. After some time, we can observe. See, like this, it is settled down. Means the upper part we can see the liquid portion, and the down we can see blood cells. And 55%, that upper part, what all things are present, that is known as the plasma. In the lower side, blood cells are present, that is 45%. The various kinds of blood cells are RBC, red blood corpuscles, WBC, white blood corpuscles and platelets. So the components, 55% of the blood is plasma, that is liquid part, and the 45% of the blood is blood cells. Blood cells are of three types: RBC, WBC and platelets. Then let us see what are the components which are present in the plasma, or the components which are present in the plasma. What are these, or which are the components which are present in the plasma? We can study next. We can see 55% of the blood is plasma. Then what are the components which are present in the plasma? See, 90 to 92 percentage is water. Then 7 to 8 percentage is protein. That proteins are three types. They are albumin, globulin and fibrinogen. Which are they? Albumin, globulin and fibrinogen. What is the function of albumin? Albumin helps to regulate blood pressure. Then globulin, that helps in defense mechanism. Then fibrinogen is necessary for blood coagulation. Then the remaining percentage is other factors. So what are the other factors? What all things are present in these factors? It includes fat, salt, urea, sugar, hormones, etc. So the components of blood that consists of plasma and blood cells. 55% is plasma and the remaining 45% consists of blood cells. Blood cells are three types: RBC, WBC and platelets. Then while we talk about the plasma, these are the components of plasma. Then next we can see the structure of heart. Okay students, this is the picture shows the structure of heart. Then we know that the blood vessels only cannot circulate blood all parts of the body. It works along with the heart, that is known as circulatory system. Then as the human heart works like a pump, blood flows through blood vessels continuously in all directions. Then do you know where is the location where it is present? The heart is situated slightly tilted towards the left in between the two lungs. You imagine the lungs are present here and here. In between the lungs, it is present and it is slightly tilted towards the left. And it is present behind the sternum in the thoracic cavity. The size of the human heart is equal to the size of one's fist. Okay. So from this picture, you can see the structure of the heart as well as the structure of blood vessels. Then when we take the section, we will have a diagram like this. Okay. First of all, we can talk about the chambers which are present in the human heart. Before that, we all should know there is a membrane, double layered membrane which covers the heart. Do you know what is it's called? This heart is covered by a double layered membrane. That double layered membrane is known as pericardium. What is it called? It is known as pericardium. See, Pericardium. It is a double layered membrane. See, this is pericardium. It is a double layered membrane. In between the membrane, there is a fluid present. That fluid is called pericardial fluid. That fluid is known as pericardial fluid. Cardial fluid. Okay. See, do you know The word peri means surrounded, and the word cardium. The cardium is related to heart. The specialist or heart specialist known as cardiologist. The cardium means heart, peri means surrounded. So the heart is surrounded by a double layered membrane. That membrane is known as pericardium. In between the pericardium, there is a fluid present. That fluid is known as pericardial fluid. What is the function of this pericardial fluid as well as the pericardium? Pericardium protects the heart. Pericardial fluid, which is present in the pericardial membrane, that reduce friction between the membranes when the heart beats. Okay, so that's all about the protective mechanism found in the heart. Then next is about the chambers. Human heart is four-chambered. What are these four chambers called? The chambers are called, means upper two chambers are there. This is the first chamber. We can see one by one. First of all, I will mark here. This is the first chamber, and this is the second chamber. Sorry, this is the second chamber, and this one is the third, and this one is the fourth chamber. See, fourth chamber. So that we can say there are four chambers present. What are these two upper chambers called? These upper chambers are called atria, singular atrium. This is the right atrium and this is the left atrium. Then lower two chambers are called ventricles, right ventricle and left ventricle. So that's all about the chambers. Then what about the blood vessels? You can see this is one blood vessel, this is another blood vessel. Here we can see blood vessel, here also, then here blood vessel is present, and here also we can see. Okay, students. Then the blood vessel which opens to the right atrium, it is known as vena cava. So it comes through the superior side, means upper side, superior vena cava. That comes through the lower side, that is known as inferior vena cava. These two blood vessels opens to the right atrium. Okay. Then in the right ventricle or from the right ventricle, there is another blood vessel arises, that is known as pulmonary artery. The word pulmonary means lungs. So that blood vessel brings blood to the lungs. When we study about the functions, I'll give the correct explanation why the pulmonary artery carries blood to the lungs. Okay. Similarly, from the lungs, another blood vessels originate, that is known as pulmonary vein, that carries blood to the left atrium. Okay. Then from the left ventricle, another blood vessel originates. This is the largest blood vessel. It is known as aorta. That blood vessel is known as aorta. So that aorta originates from left ventricle. Okay. So these are the blood vessels and also about the chambers which are present in the human heart. And the third important part, there are some valves present. The function of all these valves that do not allow the backward flow of blood. That means the valve which is present between right atrium and right ventricle named tricuspid valve. Once the blood moves from right atrium to the right ventricle, that tricuspid valve closes so that there is no backward flow. Then, once the blood moves from left atrium to the left ventricle, here bicuspid valve is there. So that is the labeling is here. Mitral valve. Actually, its name is bicuspid valve. BICU, bicuspid, SID, bicuspid valve that is present in between left atrium and left ventricle. Okay, so that there is no any backward flow. Once it closes, there is no backward flow of blood. So these are the two valves which are present in between the atrium as well as the ventricle. Then pulmonary valve is another valve that is present here in the pulmonary artery. Once the blood moves from right ventricle to the pulmonary artery, in order to avoid the backward flow, here pulmonary valve closes. So here in the aorta, there is a valve present named aortic valve. So once the blood moves from the left ventricle to the aorta, the backward flow does not take place. Okay. These are the diagrams given in your textbook. To copy this diagram, you feel some difficulty, so that we can study another diagram in order to copy to your notebook. Location of the heart, position of the heart, size of the heart, and also about the structure of the heart we have studied with the help of the slide. But this diagram I have drawn here, this is one of the easiest diagram that you can draw in your notebook as well as for your exam. See, the four chambers are, upper two chambers are known as atrium and the lower two chambers are known as ventricles. Then right atrium, left atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle. Yes, in order to avoid the confusion while labeling right and left. Yes, you all have doubt, it is sure, because see, here I have written left atrium and here I have written left ventricle. Why? It is because when we draw the diagram of internal organs, this is the correct way. This is how we have to stand when we study the structure of internal organ. This is my right side and this is my left side. Okay. So right atrium, right ventricle. Left atrium and left ventricle. These are the four chambers. Then we have studied the covering of the heart that is known as pericardium, and functions we have studied. In between there is a fluid present. That fluid is called pericardial fluid. In the right atrium, the blood vessel reaches to the right atrium are superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Here. From the right ventricle, the blood vessel which arises from the right ventricle, that is pulmonary artery. So this is to one lungs and this is to another lungs. The word pulmonary means related to lungs. Then in the left atrium, pulmonary vein reaches to the left atrium. The blood vessel begins from the left ventricle is the largest blood vessel named aorta. the branches of aorta are called arteries. Okay, so while we conclude the topic, what all things we have studied today? The components of blood, components of plasma, and the structure of heart. That's all about today's class. Thank you for watching this video.